as promised, we take you down to Ascension Parish right now. Kate MacArthur's on the hotline. She heads up economic development down there. Big day yesterday, Kate. Have you recovered?
Not yet, but maybe in a couple months.
All right, walk us through. I want to walk through the entire process here. I've got so many questions. Let's start with what put y'all in touch with Hyundai in the first place to get this ball rolling.
So this project came through the state. So it came to LED from a consulting firm.
Okay, so this is on the state's radar first. What made the state choose Donaldsonville?
So that was the consultant and the company's choice. So they really drove the location factor. We just market that entire area, that industrial area and the Riverplex Mega Park, and they were just interested in and definitely wanted to be there and figure out if that was a possibility for them.
Let's talk about the Riverplex Mega Park for just a second. What is it? The Riverplex Mega Park, it sounds like this should be something huge that we should be talking about every single day. But yesterday was one of the first times I've heard mention of it.
Yeah, so it started probably 15 years ago. I think there's been, I tracked this the other day, like 67 meetings since that time. It was, I think BRAC worked on it through site certification to try and get the largest certified site through the state ever, but that wasn't going to work because it was just too big. But we have certified pieces of it. And in that time, we reached out to all of the landowners, which I think there's about 180 total, 8 major, large landowners, and then a lot of smaller landowners. And so we just had meetings with the community to say, hey, what is your plan for the future? Do you want to stay here forever? Do you want to farm this forever? Does your family want it? And they bought into the idea of having it be a industrial and commercial overlay. So that's what we did. So we went to the parish elected officials and the school board and everyone and basically said, what if we did a future land use overlay? And we put that in place so we could expedite zoning to become an industrial and commercial area in the future. And then last year we went in and put in an economic development district so that we'd be able to fund infrastructure projects as projects came along, we could continue to develop out the site. So that's kind of the very long story of that transition. So we've just been doing incremental things to get it ready and marketing it. And in the last 4 years, we've had so many companies interested in it, but this is really the first one that's getting the domino to fall and really get this going.
10 miles worth of riverfront in the Riverplex Mega Park. I mean, that is a large footprint for sure.
It is, and they're not making any more river sites, so they are very valuable.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the point. And taking advantage of this specifically on the west side of the river, the west side of Ascension Parish, is a big deal as well. In fact, Donaldsonville's mayor made mention of that in yesterday's press conference. If you could, for me, elaborate on how big of a win this is, not just to bring this to Ascension, but to bring it to Donaldsonville specifically.
Well, it's one of the biggest wins for the state as a whole, and for Donaldsonville, it's tremendous. I mean, I would say, I guess, Ascension's been very blessed in the Geismar area over the years with billions of dollars of investment overall in the last 60 years. And at that same time, Donaldsonville's only had one plant locate in the area. So we knew that this was a great opportunity. There are many more coming. We do have some feasibility announcements worth another $10 billion that could all come to fruition. So I think you're going to see so much more activity in an area that was losing population, was not getting any new businesses, and this was just a big focus of how do we fix that trend.
We're talking with Kate MacArthur, who heads up economic development for Ascension Parish. All right, let's get back to Hyundai specifically. How long was the courtship? How long did y'all have to work on this?
So we started working with them in November of 2023. I think they've made a visit to Louisiana probably 12 or 15 times. They have a very large project team involved in this. We have a very large project team involved in this. I mean, we finally got to the announcement, which is amazing, but there's so much work that's still going on that's going to keep going. But it's been about a normal time period, I'd say. I think most projects take 18 to 24 months from the time you start working on them till the time they're announced. So I think it's been in our normal timeline.
What did the folks from Hyundai have to say about what their, you know, their real deciding points were, their deciding factors? What was it that Ascension was offering that they mentioned specifically as reason to come here?
So the access to the water is probably the biggest driver. I think for them, it was the infrastructure. It was the ability to use the river system. It's the ability to use rail. That was really their key factors in making this project possible. And then workforce. And that's the tremendous piece, is that they need 14 to 1,500 permanent workers. And so we're going to have to train about 6,000 people just to be able to make sure that we have 1,400 that would be able to work at that facility. So I just think proving to them that we're going to be able to bring that many people to work here is, I mean, that was the last step in really trying to get this across the finish line.
We're talking with Kate MacArthur from Ascension Parish's economic development. She had things up down there. All right, so let's get to yesterday. From final decision until yesterday, what did that timeline look like? Walk me through the behind the scenes. Pull back the curtain on putting together yesterday's announcement.
Oh, all that credit definitely goes to LED and to the team at the parish. They worked very extremely quickly. I think they did a really good job of keeping the secret conference in DC a secret. So that was very exciting for everyone. But I think they maybe pulled it off in 5 days. So it was a tremendous event, and it was definitely the hard work of the LED team and the parish's local comms and Pace Center team.
The announcement itself yesterday, the whole shindig, if you will, was first class from start to finish out at the Price Mobile on Pace Center, which was my first time there. What a great space. But the entire production of it was top notch. How big of a deal was it to get this announcement coming from the Roosevelt Room?
You would definitely need to talk to Susan at LED, because she pulled that whole thing together. So
well, no, I'm just saying,
be able to tell you.
From your perspective, how big of a deal was it? I mean, it's one thing to land something big on the economic development front, but on the flip side, you're making national and international news because of the locale of the announcement.
And I think it's very strategic, and I think that is extremely impressive to put. I mean, number one, Donaldsonville on the world stage is very impressive. But Ascension in Louisiana having, the 5 minutes of global press is something that you can't come by easily. So I'm very extremely proud of having that, and I'm very grateful to LED for getting that put together in order to make that happen. But I'm sure they worked extremely hard to pull those strings to really tout all the benefits that our legislators work on and that our state representatives work on in order to keep business flowing to the United States. So I think it was a great win for everyone.
Yeah, very much so. All right, we're talking with Kate MacArthur, who heads up economic development out in Ascension Parish. Let's talk about the steel mill itself. This isn't pardon the pun, not a run-of-the-mill mill. This is something new and exciting. Give me the details of what they're actually building.
So they're doing a new, and I say it's state-of-the-art. So they're doing a mill that's similar to one that they've been using in Korea for the last 7 years. So it's being run off natural gas, but they're doing carbon capture and sequestration. So it's a very, very low carbon steel. And then in phase 2, they're actually going to implement hydrogen. So then it'll be even cleaner of a steel in production. So this is a way to further get away from the use of coal in steel making and really try and clean up the steel making process in general and use more modern technologies that'll be more sustainable.
So it's a cleaner product. Is it a better product?
I would say that they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So it's like, if it's cleaner, it's better. it is just, I mean, they do the same amount of research and development and testing on every single product and every new thing they put out. So they're always looking to advance a better steel that goes into your car to make sure it's a safer product.
No, absolutely. Yeah, you're not sacrificing one for the other, to be sure. Because that name Hyundai, the name's on the car. It's not necessarily on the steel, first and foremost. Let's talk about timelines here moving forward. To begin construction, y'all do have to build out an entire new dock here. So what's that going to look like? Timeline it for us for when folks can start to see some of these jobs that have been announced come to fruition.
So right now, the timeline is kind of fluid. There's still a lot of permitting that is going to be going on, but we think that you'll start seeing some beginning construction activities in 2026. It'll last about 3 or 4 years. So it'll be going on for a long time. So there'll be a lot of activity. There'll be roads going in. The port piece will be built. There'll be different aspects of construction work that's going to be happening out there on the site. But it's gonna take a pretty long time to get this size facility built and running. And we're actually kind of glad about it because we also have to get the training center in and start training all the employees ahead of time as well.
What's the timeline on that? When you know, if folks are running around with a resume, what's the timeline on getting that up and running?
So they're getting started, I think, this year, but they're going to start training at the Gonzales campus in the meantime. But it's really trying to put in that curriculum using the machines that they're going to be using at the steel mill, getting all the certificates necessary. And also, we just want to focus on, so while that training is going on, if anybody is already in the workforce in some kind of construction trade or industry occupation or is interested in segueing into that, this is a great opportunity to keep getting experience while doing some additional training in order to get a better career in 5 or 6 years.
Got just a couple minutes left with Kate MacArthur, heading up economic development in Ascension Parish. Let's talk collaboration here real quick, Kate, because this is, you mentioned the partnership with LED, but you also got to bring in BRAC on this one, the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. I know the Port of South Louisiana was there yesterday as well. Talk to me a little bit about what it takes to bring all those pieces together, all those players into the game.
It's a lot of coordination, but a lot of people with the same goal. So we just wanted to win, and we wanted to figure out how to make this work. How do we get the pieces in place, and how do we make it work in a timeline that can win this project? And so I think that was the main thing, is once we're all focused on working on the same goal, it's a matter of coordinating meetings and having meetings very often. So I think everybody who worked on this project was a tremendous help. I say we're acting like it's over, but it's really just beginning. Mm-hmm. So we'll continue working with everybody through this project until it is fully up and running, and then maybe I can sleep at night again. But it was just a lot of meetings, a lot of partners, way more than you saw at the announcement yesterday. And it was just a huge effort and a lot of scheduling.
Well, yeah, but not only is it not over, but you've also got to start focusing on what's next as well. Not just with this project, but who are you going after next? So let's chat. Who's next?
Well, we're definitely going to make a big push for all of the suppliers that go along with the Hyundai steel mill. So we're going to work with anybody that is already interested in doing business and see if we can locate them nearby this new facility. We're going to keep connecting the pieces of that park. We have about 10,000 acres still available, so we have plenty of room to work with. And I think essentially it's just going to get really busy, and it's going to be a good busy, but we're going to do a lot of work listening in the community and really trying to make sure that everything we're doing is going to fit in a positive way with the community as well. So there's a lot coming.
She is Kate MacArthur, heads up economic development out in Ascension Parish. Big day yesterday. Congrats on the win, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Absolutely.